Most people who research the poor are middle class, and we bring our assumptions with us. This creates all sorts of problems for studies of poverty because usually those assumptions don't apply. And the history of policymaking is rife with examples of policy designers who got it wrong because they didn't know anything about poor people. In order to have good policy, you have to have good, in-depth, on the ground, get your hands dirty research. My family and I, my two little kids and my husband moved to America's most dangerous and poorest city, Camden, New Jersey. The conventional wisdom was that poor women had children to get more money from welfare. And they thought poor men were engaged in a status competition. They were showing off to their friends, how many women can I get? And the minute a girlfriend turned up pregnant, they would cut and run. There are ways of asking questions that allow you to quote unquote observe. You don't want to say, so why did you have this baby, right? You want to say, tell me the whole story. Put me on your shoulder like I'm a video camera. Take me with you through that experience so I can observe with you the course of your life. What we learned is that no mother was having more babies just to get welfare. You only got about $75 more in the first place, and everyone knew you couldn't raise a child on $75 a month. What these women were really about is crafting a sense of meaning and identity and a void. These communities, if you spend any time in Camden, New Jersey, are some of the darkest avenues in America. They see parenting is their highest calling. And what's fascinating is not only the women see parenting in this way, but also now the men. Men are seizing fatherhood, especially really disadvantaged men, with both hands. So the first young man we met when we moved to Camden was named Andre Green. He was still in high school when we interviewed him. He was already a father of a little girl, Jalissa. And when we asked him, tell me how you reacted the moment you heard Sonia was pregnant, he related the following story. So I was coming into my Aunt Charlene's house. She greeted me at the door and she said, Andre, you know that girl Sonia used to date? And I said, yeah. What about her? And Charlene said, she's pregnant. And then Andre says he slammed his fist on the counter, as if in anger, stomped up the stairs, slammed the door to the room he shared with his cousins, looks around to make sure no one else is in there. And then he says he begins dancing around the room, shouting, thank you, Jesus. He began to tell a story of that really exemplified what living in Camden was like. His brother had just been murdered. His mom had returned to drug addiction, which is rife in Camden. As a result, his stepfather couldn't get a job. There was no money in the house. Unemployment rate very high in the city. So in a community of so much negativity, a child is like a magic wand, but it's also, to vanquish the negativity, but it's also sort of a project, a quest, something you can throw yourself into. What a lot of people want to know is, yeah, kids bring meaning and joy in the short term, but what does it do for poverty, right? These kids are already so disadvantaged by the time they choose to have children that it doesn't affect their prospects very much. Now, it probably does affect the prospects of their kids. If parents would wait until they were a little older, it would probably benefit kids because they'd be better parents. However, when you're on a quest as a young person for meaning and identity, and our society gives you so little else to hold on to, no sense of a future in the labor market, school systems that are so deplorable they can't even be called bad. So while Americans might criticize the poor and say, well, the reason they're poor is they had these kids, they really only have 2.1 to 2.3 kids on average each. It's not like they're having 7 children. They're just having them young, and they're having them when they're economically unprepared. What if they had a sense that they had a brighter economic future? What if they thought that by their labor they could escape poverty? Might it be the case that they would make different and better decisions about their family lives if their economic lives had some hope?